In both the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, lists of names sometimes take the place of narrative accounts. Cyrus's authorization for the Jews to return to Jerusalem in chapter 1 of Ezra, for example, is followed by a list of those who returned home from exile in chapter 2. In chapter 7 of Ezra, we learn of the priestly genealogy of Ezra and the king's commissioning of him. And then the first 20 verses of chapter 8 gives us an exhaustive list of all those who came home with Ezra, including some Levites whom he had to recruit rather energetically. The actual return home is reported succinctly in only the last 15 verses of Ezra chapter 8. And so it is with the building of the wall in the book of Nehemiah. Nehemiah chapters 1 and 2 report that Nehemiah came to Jerusalem and discovered the poor condition of the city's defenses. And in chapter 3 follows a list of those who worked on the wall, anticipating the work and rededication that would come. Instead of telling us about Nehemiah's efforts to recruit workers and coordinate the building of the wall, chapter 3 simply indicates through a list that all segments of the community supported the project and completed it. The high priest headed the list of workers, followed closely by the chief priest, even though both of them would later offend Nehemiah through intermarriages between their descendants and descendants of some of Nehemiah's opponents. Priests and Levites participated as well, and lay people were hardly underrepresented. 8 rulers from the administrative districts of Yehu did their share on the wall, as well as did people from other cities like Jericho and Gibeon. Merchants were there too, not to mention the guilds of skilled workers, especially goldsmiths and the perfumers. One ruler even enlisted his daughters for the work crew. Nehemiah was apparently willing and able to work with all the structures of society. Some scholars have said that the appearance of this listing in chapter 3 seems to appear too early in the account, and that perhaps it wasn't written by Nehemiah, and that it may, in fact, be incomplete. But the fact that it describes a complete surrounding of the city and describes gates fully fitted with doors and bars and bolts signifies a mission that has been accomplished. Even though God and the temple are never mentioned, no sacrifices are offered, and there are no prayers or hymns in this chapter, we see in this list how God works with people from all segments of society to fully realize God's plans and promises. In the interview portion of our video this week, you'll learn about how people within the Madison Street community and beyond worked diligently in the church's rebuilding process. Pay particular attention to how even the least among us were important parts of the story of rebuilding the church.
This made national news, CNN, all that, okay? And so we had congregations across the country that were sending us monetary gifts, okay? There was a church in Texas that tithed their building fund, and they sent us a check for $12,000, okay? They didn't know us, but there was a connection there, all right? There was a little church up in East Tennessee where the United Methodist Women, okay, sent us a hand-quilted blanket. Okay? Now, if it's still there, that's the quilt that's in the hallway, and we use that blanket in every infant baptism. Okay? And we received the children in that. Okay? They didn't know us. They couldn't send money, but they sent the best they had. It was from the heart. So those kinds of expressions, you can't put a monetary value on that kind of thing, you know. But it was unbelievably generous from people all over the area and the nation. It really was. It was tinged with sadness in terms of the loss, and then there was a sense of hope that we're not alone. You know, others are with us.
That quilt is still hanging right outside the nursery. And there's a plaque there that tells the story of it and how it came to us. And then it lists all the children and others who were baptized, as you said, between losing the church and moving to the new one. My granddaughter was one of them. And it's a very special place that will be there forever.
In the early stages, there was not a lot that church members could do because we had so many different groups of people, the professionals here to clean up. We had professional cleaners, we had engineers, we had contractors, we had so forth. So there wasn't an awful lot that volunteers could participate in, and liability issues also because of the nature of the destruction. But eventually, many people stepped up to do various and sundry things to raise money. I mean, like there's a mention in the history here about the people that took the stained glass and they were making jewelry. They were collecting bricks and doing things for people that had the souvenirs. The women's groups were doing things all the time to raise funds. So in that respect, everybody was coming together. So
I don't think there was ever a time when we didn't have enough people to help, because the mission was so important, and people were connected to that. As a matter of fact, that whole process and all that, the rebuilding and everything, I think we had one family that left the church, okay? And we need to remember at the same time this was happening, First Baptist was, I think, completing their new sanctuary. There was a lot of buzz about that in town as well. They had jumbotrons in the sanctuary. We were in a meeting one night, building committee meeting, and somebody asked about why we can't have jumbotrons at the Methodist Church. Jimmy Morgan looked at me, he said, "Preacher, you're about as jumbo as we're going to get." And so that put that issue to bed. Never came up again. But yeah, there was a lot of folks involved.
We did, my memory is imperfect, and it probably is, but we had that series of luncheons. Once we decided what path we would follow as far as raising the money that we needed over and above the insurance payments, we kind of replicated what we had done for the renovation and the improvements that we had just completed, and pretty much used that same formula. And Jim and I were involved in that again, and but that was, we tried to get people, assign people to this group or that group, or which home would host it or whatever. Was a process that we went through, and it was, it gave you a good feeling that we were moving forward, and I felt like those luncheons were successful. The presentations were well done. Others may have some memories of that, but that was a good way of feeling like this is my part to play. So.
Why? We didn't use a fundraising system.
I think we did. I think we used the same group. Pretty much did. I thought we did.
What's the campaign called? Love Builds. Love
Yeah,
Builds.
right. I think I thought we did use that same group again, kind of that same formula. So I've still got the notebook. I should have pulled it out. I know where it is in my.
Go ahead, Tom.
At the time of this, I was working in Nashville, and the lady that was our office assistant, her husband was the insurance adjuster for this. He was a contract adjuster, and the company called him and said, go down there and see what's going on. So he came down here, and he told me later, he said, I just called him back from them and said, why don't you check for the whole one in the building, because there's nothing there. somewhere there is a file around here of photos that he took on the whole interior of this building when he was doing the inspection.
Is that
But we knew that that was never going to be enough to come back. So that's why we have these campaigns and stuff. It's $3+ million that we would have to come up with to build what we need.
As I recall, the insurance adjusters who came and met with this leadership team, I believe, Phil, you were on that as well, and they were really negotiating, if you will, the insurance settlement. Well, it was remarkable because they would meet in one of these trailers we had back here for a period of time, then they'd go out in the parking lot, and stretch their legs and talk and so forth. And by the time we finished that process, I was not a part of it. These guys handled it, okay? By the time we finished that process, they were literally looking at our policy and finding money. Well, we were looking over this and last night, and there's another 500,000 here. Okay, all right. And of course, the guys had them invited back to hunt and fish and all that stuff and everything, But it was really something to watch those guys work.
I want to ask one follow-up question, Dr. Howard, and then we'll come to you. If I'm remembering the stories correctly, following the renovation prior to the tornado, had Madison Street not increased its insurance coverage fairly dramatically?
What were we about $1 million?
There were a lot of,
We were 40 before we renovated.
I see,
And it was really very much, John Brugel was the Brugel Halliburton insurance. And John was very conservative, just didn't want to spend money on insurance. But we had some real conversations about that, because I knew what it would cost. And fortunately, we got it.
That's good.
Got it up significantly.
Right.
We were lucky we did.
Yes.
that was another one of the blessings.
Right.
Yes.
John had been chairman of the board, and I think he was instrumental in us having the $7.5 million that we had.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the insurance, and he didn't want to up it that much.
Insurance is one of those things, you don't need it till you need it. And when you need it, you better have it.
That's true.
And so it was a great blessing.
We'll direct one more question to you, Doug, before we end this portion. You spoke about so many of Madison Street's activities were happening in so many different locations. Worship, Sunday school, small groups, preschool, all of those sorts of things were happening in so many different places. And that really only one family sort of fell off the radar during that time or chose to leave for whatever reason. That's pretty astonishing.
Yes, it is.
It's very astonishing that that's the case. What do you attribute that to?
Well, during that period of time, I think the records will show that we actually grew. Okay, the membership grew. There was just a sense of energy and purpose and unity. I mean, sure, we had individuals who didn't like the color of that or the size of that or whatever the case may be, but as a whole, we were united in a mission that was bigger than us. Okay, that was going to continue the mission that we had been a part of prior to. Okay, going forward, it was going to look a little different. Okay, but that was okay. That was okay because we knew we were in this together.
I got in our Sunday school class at the time. We were meeting at the Mormons Club, which is, about a block down Madison Street from the Church of Christ / Catholic Church we were worshiping in. And it was really an effort for some of our members to get there because my children were old enough that their Sunday school class was near the sanctuary that we were going to. But some of the others, they would have to take their children to the nursery, get in their car, drive to Sunday school, get back in their car, drive back to get the little children. And so as you said, there was a sense of purpose that we were all united in, and there were inconveniences, but you did it because you believed in the final outcome. And that brought a lot of us much closer.